Discover the miraculous sacred practice revealed for heavenly transformation in 40 days. In the small village of St. Mary's, where the morning mist kissed the cobblestone paths and the melodious church bells rang at dawn, Sarah's heart thudded with faith. A devoted mother, her spirit shone bright as she guided her family like the North Star. But that bright light flickered when Jacob, her beloved son, fell gravely ill. Doctors were baffled, filled with uncertainty, leaving Sarah submerged in a sea of despair. Day by day, faith became a fragile thread over a vast chasm of doubt. She sought refuge in the tranquil chapel, whispering desperate prayers into the stillness, but no answer came. One fog-laden evening, with her heart weighed down by sorrow, Sarah met Father Thomas as he walked through the village. His eyes twinkled like stars against the night sky, emanating a warmth that enveloped her. He gently urged, "Light a candle, dear Sarah. For 40 days commit to prayer. It is through this sacred practice that healing flows." Overwhelmed by his sincerity, she agreed, her heart igniting with a flicker of hope. Each evening as twilight draped the village, Sarah gathered her family. Together, they lit a candle, a simple act that felt ineffably sacred. Illuminated by its glow, they called upon their patron saint of healing, pouring their hearts into fervent prayers. Barely an hour passed before life's challenges crept in. Tensions bubbled, and doubt whispered insidiously, urging her to abandon their sacred commitment. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue as hope danced on the edge of despair. A radiant light flickered in the hearts of the villagers. On a night woven with the threads of anticipation, the community united for a powerful night of prayer and testimony. The chapel vibrated with the sound of heartbeats and whispered prayers, an urgency palpable in the air. Would her son Jacob's healing come to fruition as they collectively cried out? Sarah stood amidst her neighbors, her spirit trembling beneath the weight of expectation. The flickering candlelight cast shadows that seemed alive, reverberating with their shared belief. As they prayed fervently, she felt the electric atmosphere shift. A divine promise wrapped around her like a warm embrace. Tears welled in her eyes as she recalled the miraculous tales that thrived in their village, stories of hope, tales of healing. Just as despair threatened to engulf her, a stillness captured the gathering. Would this night mark a miracle? As voices rose and spirits soared, Sarah's heart raced. A lingering question hanging in the air: was this the moment faith would meet the miraculous? In that sacred space, illuminated by candlelight and collective hope, she sensed the veil between heaven and earth began to thin. What awaited on the horizon was unknown, but uncertainty mingled with divine promise, casting a luminous glow on their shared journey toward healing. In the hushed chapel, the flickering light seemed to respond to the prayers, dancing and swaying as if in conversation with the heavens. Sarah's heart beat in rhythm with the whispered hopes and declarations of faith around her. A palpable energy enveloped the congregants, weaving an unbreakable bond among them, an awakening of spirits yearning for divine intervention. Father Thomas, standing at the altar, raised his hands as if to catch the prayers sent upwards. Let us embrace the miracle that is possible when we unite in faith. His voice rang out, resonating like a bell, awakening sleepy souls to the promise of unshakable faith. The community leaned in, eager and hungry for the possibility of healing. As they took turns sharing their stories, hearts opened wide, revealing the scars of past hurts and struggles. An elderly woman spoke of her lost son, and her words held a bittersweet tone. "We must not lose hope," she proclaimed, her eyes shining with tears of longing and strength. Even in grief, Goddess light breaks through the darkness. The revelation brought forth an emotional wave that swept across the congregation. Sarah felt her own heart aching for both the loss and the collective spirit of resilience. The tears in her eyes sparkled with something transcendent gratitude for the strength found within shared vulnerability. With each prayer that rose, Sarah felt more certain that they were not merely voicing wishes. They were crafting a tapestry of healing, a beautiful petition woven with faith, courage, and the promise of God. As she clasped her hands, trembling with reservation yet filled with hope, she whispered, "Please, let my Jacob feel this light." Somewhere in the depth of her being, a revelation sparked a shift in her understanding of prayers answered. Perhaps not all miracles materialized as expected. Some blossomed gently, like hidden flowers beneath a blanket of snow. In that moment, she found peace, realizing that steadfastness in prayer was itself a sacred balm. The hours passed like minutes. The gathering transformed into a sea of faith. Laughter and tears mingled, each wave of emotion washing over them like cleansing rain. Sarah could feel the warmth of connection lift her spirit higher, binding them all in a shared promise. When the final amen echoed through the chapel, a stillness enveloped them again. The air pulsed with expectancy, and Sarah could feel the question, what would tomorrow bring? Could healing embrace Jacob as they hoped? Stepping out of the chapel, the cool night air cradled her face, and for the first time in weeks, she felt a change. It was as if the stars above whispered secrets of hope. She turned to the villagers, companionship rekindled, eyes glistening with determination. "Tomorrow we continue," she declared, her voice a composed whisper. "We light the candle again, not just for our Jacob but for all of us. Our faith will lead the way." Their hearts ignited with renewed hope. Each step resonated with a sacred promise. But as Sarah walked home, an echo of the evening lingered in her mind. What if this journey would also reveal something greater than she ever anticipated? It beckoned her, a shimmering invitation to explore the depths of faith even further. A flutter of questions threaded through her heart. What lessons would be revealed on this sacred journey? The dawn of the next day seemed not just like any other, but the brink of new revelations. As the first rays of sunlight kissed the earth, Sarah awakened with a renewed sense of purpose. The promise of the day held an electric anticipation, whispering secrets of transformation. She stepped outside her home, breathing in the crisp morning air, each inhale filling her soul with hope. Today, she felt, would mark the start of something powerful. Her heart raced as she gathered a few belongings: a journal, an old candle, and a worn Bible. Each item was a testament to her journey thus far, filled with prayers scribbled in the margins and memories of love shared under candlelight. With a determination born from the night's gathering, Sarah headed toward the chapel, her footsteps echoing against the cobbled streets. On the way, she passed familiar faces in the village, each greeting her with warm smiles that spoke volumes. "Good morning, Sarah. Ready for another day of faith?" a neighbor called out. The simple inquiry ignited a flicker of affection within her. "As ready as I'll ever be," she replied, her spirits buoyed by their camaraderie. Upon reaching the chapel, Sarah lit the candle, its small flame flickering bravely against the vastness of the sanctuary. As the light danced, shadows swayed gently, and she took a moment to breathe in the sacred atmosphere. She felt the prayers of the previous night lingering in the air, and a sense of connection filled the chapel. The walls seemed to pulse with life, reminding her that they were all in this journey together. She opened her Bible at random, a practice she had for years, and her eyes landed on the verse from Matthew. "For where 2 or 3 gather in my name, there am I with them." A quiet chuckle escaped her lips. In that instance, she understood. It wasn't just about lighting candles or sharing stories. There was a divine promise at work, binding them in the name of hope. As she sat in reflection, the door creaked open, and one by one villagers trickled in. There was a sense of gathering energy, like a prayer awakening deep within each of them. Some wore expressions of weariness, while others carried hope etched in their eyes. They came, not just for Jacob but for the unshakable bond that had been forming, a tapestry woven of faith, love, and shared suffering. "Let us share what's on our hearts," Father Thomas suggested, his voice warm and encouraging. One by one, they began to speak stories of dreams rekindled, burdens shared, and steadfast faith. A young boy, trembling yet brave, spoke about his struggles at school. "I think God is trying to teach me courage," he said, his voice steady. The congregation smiled, their hearts drawing strength from each brave declaration. Sarah felt a spark in her own heart. Could it be that they were all in the midst of a transformation? As they prayed together, Sarah's earlier uncertainties began to fade. Each prayer that rose felt like a petal unfurling in the warmth of sunlight, a slow, natural process too beautiful to rush. With each passing hour, the sense of community deepened, and Sarah realized that transformation was not a solitary journey. It needed to be shared. Perhaps today was not just about healing Jacob, but about healing each other. As they closed their gathering with a final prayer, Father Thomas beckoned them closer. "Tomorrow," he said, "we will embark on something extraordinary, a journey of faith and revelation. I encourage each of you to come with an open heart." The promise of what was to come hung in the air like the scent of blooming flowers. Sarah felt her pulse quicken with excitement and fear. What awaited them on this journey? That evening, as she prepared for bed, the air crackled with expectation. She could feel it. God was stirring hearts for something magnificent. What lesson would emerge from their collective quest? What revelations would shake their world? As she closed her eyes, she whispered into the night, "Lead us, Lord. We are ready." Little did she know, dawn would unveil a new chapter of miraculous encounters. Morning light streamed through Sarah's window, illuminating her room with a warm golden glow. As she awoke, an unexplainable sense of peace washed over her. Not a single doubt hovered in her mind. Today felt like a divine embrace. She rose quickly, eager to see what awaited her and her community in the chapel. A gentle breeze stirred outside, and she let it bring her spirit alive. Thoughts of Father Thomas's words echoed in her mind. A journey of faith and revelation. They were not mere words. They were an invitation to something greater. With her heart racing, she prepared herself in prayer, asking God to open her eyes to the opportunities laid before her. The streets buzzed with life as she made her way to the chapel. Children laughed and played, while neighbors exchanged pleasantries. Each encounter filled her with gratitude, a reminder of the blessing woven throughout their togetherness. The village was a living testament to faith and resilience. Arriving at the chapel, Sarah noticed many familiar faces already gathered. The atmosphere was charged with excitement, an electric current that danced under the surface. She felt her breath catch in her throat, stunned by the sight of so many devoted hearts united in anticipation. Father Thomas stood at the front, clearly moved by the turnout. "Today, we will stretch our faith and open ourselves to God's moving," he said, his voice steady yet impassioned. "Together, we will engage in sacred practices that guide our hearts toward transformation." Sarah's pulse quickened with each word. What could this mean? He continued, "As a collective, we will delve into prayer, worship, and acts of kindness for themselves, a holy trinity that leads to unveiling God's design in our lives. Each practice seeks to awaken our spirits deeply, tying each heart to the next." The villagers nodded in agreement, a wave of serenity flowing over them. Sarah felt warmth bloom in her chest. She recalled the young boy's declaration from the day before, God teaching him courage. Could such practices teach them all to awaken these very same truths nestled within their souls? With that thought, they began their first practice prayer circles. Each group formed a triangle of outstretched hands, eyes closed in reverence. The words flowed like a river. They poured out their hopes, fears, and dreams, leaving a sacred space for God's voice to guide them. The air thickened with emotion as Sarah gulped down tears. She had been praying for guidance, for signs of what her own heart sought. Suddenly, she felt the soft touch of a hand on her shoulder. Turning, she saw an elderly woman she had admired for years, her face radiant with wisdom. "Dear one," the woman whispered, "God sees you. Your journey is unfolding beautifully, like a flower in bloom." A wave of warmth engulfed Sarah, as if the very message had rustled through the universe just for her. It was powerful, reflecting the collective strength binding them. As they transitioned to motivational storytelling, sharing moments where they saw God's hands at work, the stories painted a tapestry of divine intersections. By the time it was dusk, each soul felt renewed, invigorated by the shared connections and revelations. Tomorrow, Father Thomas announced, we will step deeper. We will practice acts of kindness throughout our village and watch how love transforms not only us but the world around. The congregation gasped at the potential. Sarah stood in awe, her heart pulsating with hope. What might they uncover together? Could their simple acts of kindness unleash God's grace? In that moment, she understood. They weren't simply embarking on a journey. They were embarking on a mission, a sacred movement destined to ripple through every corner of their lives. As she left the chapel, the night wrapped around her like a soft blanket. Gazing at the stars overhead, she whispered a prayer, Lord, guide us. Show us the way. With her heart brimming with anticipation, she closed her eyes and dared to dream of the miracles that lay ahead. What wonders awaited them in their acts of kindness? What miracle would unfold next as they ventured deeper into this divine journey? The new dawn arrived with a soft hue, lighting the village in a celestial embrace. Sarah awoke with a sense of expectancy, as if the very air whispered promises of what lay ahead. Today they would put their faith into action. Her heart surged with purpose as she prepared to meet her community's shared mission. As she stepped outside, the early sunlight kissed her skin, and the world around her came alive in a symphony of sound. Birds chirped cheerfully, and the laughter of children echoed down the streets. It felt like the village had been awakened to a new level of joy, infused with hope from the previous day's gatherings. Walking toward the chapel, Sarah's thoughts danced around the acts of kindness they would perform. Each smile exchanged in greeting was like a thread in a tapestry, weaving them closer together. She felt the gravity of their task. What they would do today could change everything. Once inside the chapel, Father Thomas stood beaming at the congregation gathered once more. The air buzzed with excitement and a sense of divine anticipation. Today, my friends, we step into the heart of love. We are called to serve, to shower this village with kindness and goodwill, he declared, his voice ringing with certainty. He outlined their plan. Each person assigned a task that would blend into a beautiful mosaic of compassion. Sarah, he continued, I want you to visit Mrs. Bennet and help her in the garden. She has been feeling lonely, and your visit can lift her spirits. Sarah felt a thrill at the task. Mrs. Bennet was a widow and had always shared stories of the life she'd built. She could hear her sweet voice and see her gentle smile. With assignments distributed, the villagers dispersed with purpose. Sarah rushed to Mrs. Bennet's small cottage, the scent of blooming flowers surrounding her. With each step, she prayed for guidance, that her presence might bring warmth to the elderly woman's life. Knocking lightly on the door, Sarah felt a flutter of nerves. She heard footsteps, and the door creaked open to reveal Mrs. Bennet, her face lighting up with surprise. Oh, Sarah, what a joy to see you, she exclaimed, drawing her in for a warm embrace. Mrs. Bennet, I'm here to help you with your garden, Sarah said enthusiastically as they stepped outside into the sunlight. The garden was a riot of blooming colors, yet it needed the love that only a caring hand could provide. As they worked side by side, cutting back overgrown weeds and planting fresh blooms, Mrs. Bennet shared stories of her younger days of dances, laughter, and love. With each tale, Sarah felt the layers of loneliness peel away from the older woman's heart. The time spent together was a dance of compassion, as laughter punctuated their labor. Sarah was beginning to understand that kindness was not merely an act. It was a bond, a shared heartbeat between souls. As they finished for the day, Mrs. Bennet looked at her, tears of gratitude glistening in her eyes. You've brightened my entire week, dear girl. I didn't realize how much I needed this, she said softly. Sarah felt her own heart swell. This was God's touch, moving through simple gestures and heartfelt connections. Later that evening, as the last light faded from the sky, the villagers gathered again in the chapel to share stories of their day. Each encounter became a testament to God's grace, rippling out like waves on a pond. Father Thomas listened intently, his eyes alight with joy. "These acts of kindness will change the fabric of our community," he proclaimed. "But we must continue to seek greater depths of love. Tomorrow we shall put ourselves in the shoes of others, feeling their burdens too." Sarah leaned in, curious and excited. What might that look like? What were their hearts about to uncover next? And in that moment, a prayer formed in her heart, an echo of longing. "Lord, prepare us for deeper revelation. Show us what it means to truly love, and how that love can transform us all. What challenges would they face as they open themselves to the burdens of others? What divine connection awaited them in the depth of empathy?" The sun rose again, but this time its light carried a different weight. It felt thicker, almost tangible, as if each beam was a thread woven into the fabric of the villagers' hearts. Sarah awoke with a renewed spirit, ready to embrace the day ahead. She remembered Father Thomas's message about stepping into others' shoes, and it ignited something deep within her. A restless curiosity mingled with an eager anticipation. As she dressed, Sarah caught sight of her reflection. She practiced a gentle smile, envisioning the joy she hoped to share with those they would visit today. Her heart beat a little faster with the thought of the work they would all do together. Unity was blossoming in the village, and she felt honored to be part of it. At breakfast, the aroma of fresh bread filled the air, and lively chatter surrounded the wooden table. Families shared their intentions for the day, recounting their assignments. Each story was a radiant thread woven into the same tapestry of compassion. One family planned to help a farmer with his fields, while another would visit a family struggling with sickness. "Today, we truly become a part of each other as stories," Sarah mused aloud, her eyes shining with emotion. The warmth of her family's support wrapped around her like a comforting blanket. After breakfast, Sarah congregated with others outside the chapel, where Father Thomas stood centered before them, his presence commanding yet filled with grace. "Remember, my dear friends," he began, "empathy is the key. When you take on the burdens of others, you open your heart, just as Christ opened his to us." With their tasks assigned, Sarah joined a small group destined to visit the local elder, Mr. Hughes. He faced hardships of late, losing his partner of many years, and the sorrow in his eyes was as deep as the shadows cast by the trees outside his home. A stillness settled upon the group as they walked, the gravity of today's mission palpable. When they arrived, Sarah's heart skipped at the sight of the small, neglected garden that lay overgrown. It mirrored Mr. Hughes' spirit, a beautiful chaos yearning for tender touch. Knocking gently, they waited. The door creaked open, revealing Mr. Hughes' weary face. "Oh, what a welcome surprise!" he exclaimed, his voice carrying both surprise and sorrow. They entered, hearts ready to give. Sarah noticed dusty photographs lined the walls. Each one held the echoes of cherished memories, laughter, and love. Mr. Hughes welcomed them in, his smile slowly easing through the cracks of grief. "We're here to help you, Mr. Hughes," Sarah said, stepping forward. "We'll take care of your garden. It needs some love just like you do." He nodded slowly, his eyes gleaming with gratitude. Together they worked, pulling weeds and trimming hedges, while Mr. Hughes shared snippets of his life. With each story, the heaviness in the air lifted like morning mist, replaced by laughter and shared memories. In those moments, Sarah felt the power of empathy manifest. It was in the way Mr. Hughes's eyes sparkled when he spoke of his beloved wife, in the way laughter broke through the sorrow, and how they all became a little lighter with each shared tale. As the sun hung low, casting long shadows, Sarah realized they weren't just helping Mr. Hughes with his garden, they were planting seeds of hope in his heart. The divine connection was clear. Through their kindness, God worked miracles of healing. As they finished, Sarah took a moment to breathe in the fresh scent of earth and flowers. "Lord, thank you for the chance to share this grace," she whispered, her heart swelling with compassion. Back at the chapel, they gathered again, and the stories flowed like a river of shared experiences through their hearts. Father Thomas sat, eyes aglow with wonder, listening intently. "Every act of love creates ripples," he affirmed. "But tomorrow, we will delve even deeper into the lonely hearts of our village. We must learn to listen, truly listen, to understand the burdens unseen. Anticipation buzzed in the room. What truths would they uncover? What connections awaited them? The adventure towards divine revelation beckoned on the horizon, and with it, the promise of transformation. The next morning dawned with a silence that felt electric, as though the village held its breath in anticipation. Sarah awoke, the words of Father Thomas echoing in her heart. Each morning now felt like a page waiting to be written, a fresh opportunity to seek, to understand, to listen. With a heart full of expectancy, she joined her family for breakfast. The chatter was light today, tinged with an undercurrent of reflection. As they ate, Sarah spoke of her dreams for the day, excited about what it meant to listen to the unheard. Today, we'll open our hearts and let others share their burdens, she said, her voice unwavering with belief. After the meal, the villagers gathered outside the chapel, where Father Thomas was waiting once more. The whispers of the crowd floated upward like incense. Today, we will not just hear, but we will truly listen, he said, his tone solemn yet hopeful. Listening is an act of love, one that allows us to bear one another's burdens, just as Christ has borne ours. With a sense of purpose, Sarah and her group set off towards the village square, where a few residents gathered around the market stalls. The old woman by the fruit stand, Mrs. Penny, had recently lost her husband, and Sarah felt a tug at her spirit to speak with her. As they approached, she noticed the deep lines of grief etched into Mrs. Penny's face, overshadowed by a thin veil of years gone by. "Good morning, Mrs. Penny," Sarah greeted gently. The older woman looked up, her eyes warm yet dimmed by sorrow. "Oh, dear Sarah, what a sweet surprise," she replied, her voice soft like autumn leaves. "Come, sit with me a while." Sarah settled beside her, feeling the weight of unspoken stories in the air. She took a breath, focusing her heart. "I wanted to know how you've been truly." At those words, something shifted in Mrs. Penny. The dam broke, her memories flowing out with teardrops. She shared tales of her husband, of their love, and the laughter shared by their fireside. Each word bore the richness of her life, a tapestry woven from joy and sadness. As Sarah listened intently, she felt something warm unfold inside her, an understanding deeper than words. "Oh, how beautiful," she whispered, "to have loved so deeply." She realized that in this moment, she wasn't just hearing. She was being invited into Mrs. Penny's heart, to walk with her through seasons of joy and loss. Around them, others began to listen too. The village square transformed, becoming a sacred space where sharing and healing intertwined. Laughter mingled with tears, and the burdens felt a little lighter as stories emerged. Father Thomas, observing the blossoming connection, smiled with approval, his heart full. "Each shared story is a testament of resilience," he proclaimed softly, a reminder that we are never alone in our heartaches. As the sun dipped lower in the skies, casting soft hues of gold, Sarah felt a profound sense of unity with her village. They were becoming a tapestry, each thread vibrant, full of life and experience. As the day drew to a close, a question lingered in Sarah's heart. What other stories remain untold in our village? She yearned to uncover deeper truths, to understand the unseen burdens that shaped those around her. The anticipation hung in the air like the scent of blooming flowers, waiting to be explored. What would they discover when they opened their hearts even further? What unexpected revelations were waiting just beyond the horizon of their shared experience? The morning after the gathering in the village square, Sarah stood by her window, sunlight streaming in like golden threads. The air felt charged, alive with possibilities. She sensed that the unity birthed through shared stories might lead them somewhere profound, somewhere divine. Her heart swelled with purpose. "Today we seek more," she declared to herself. "Today we'll invite even deeper stories." At breakfast, the conversation fluttered about friendly exchanges, but Sarah's thoughts remained tethered to the people outside, those who carried untold stories veiled by silence. She mentioned this to her family. What if we could create a space for everyone to share their lives, their pains, their joys? Her parents nodded, their faces illuminating with understanding of her earnestness. Once again, the villagers assembled in the chapel, and Father Thomas looked upon them, his eyes gleaming with the warmth of the Spirit. "Let us gather our hearts today," he encouraged. "Let love be our lanterns as we dive deeper into the stories that shape us." With renewed enthusiasm, Sarah led her group to the heart of the village, where a few villagers lingered, hesitant to join. There, near the old oak tree, sat Jacob, a quiet man who rarely shared his thoughts. His countenance bore the weight of unspoken burdens, shadows resting behind his eyes. "Good morning, Jacob," Sarah called, taking a few tentative steps closer. "Would you share a story with us?" He looked up, surprised. "My stories are not interesting, Sarah." "Every story matters," she affirmed, her voice steady and sincere. "Your life is a treasure. Please, we would love to hear." As he began to speak, Jacob's voice trembled at first, but then steadied as he recounted his childhood. Memories rushed forth. His father's struggles, the long days at the mill, the dreams of escaping their hardships. Each word was a window into his experiences, revealing layers of depth and vulnerability that had long remained masked. The small audience around him listened, rapt and engaged. Sarah could almost feel the collective breaths of her neighbors echoing Jacob's unease and courage. Tears welled in the eyes of the older villagers, their own stories stirring in response to his honesty. "Every hardship, every dream," Jacob continued, "has brought me here, to this very moment. And honestly, I never realized that sharing it might bring peace." Father Thomas beamed, sensing a movement of spiritual awakening. "Yes, dear friends, in sharing, we allow the light of Christ to shine upon our shadows. We bear witness to hope." With each tale shared, others felt a calling. Margaret, a young mother, stood up. Her heart had long been heavy with fears about her children's futures. With trembling breaths, she revealed her struggles, her voice a gentle melody that danced through the gathering. The stories flowed like a river, each one a unique strand of faith, woven with love. Laughter broke through tears, and for every burden shared, burdens were lifted. Sarah's heart sang with joy. They were truly becoming a community where love transformed despair. Yet, as the final stories interwove with the evening's embrace, Sarah felt a stirring in her soul. What lay beyond these shared struggles? What invitation was God extending through their openness? The sky turned deep shades of orange and purple, and a profound silence enveloped them. With a glance at the heavens, Sarah pondered the mysteries that still lingered in her heart. What depths have we yet to explore? She turned to her friends, curiosity sparkling in her eyes, wondering what revelations awaited them. And just as the air thickened with anticipation, she sensed they were but on the cusp of something extraordinary. What would be the next step in this journey of openness and divine connection? As the stars began to twinkle in the dusky sky, a sense of stillness hovered over the gathering. Sarah, surrounded by her neighbors, felt the weight of anticipation, a sacred moment suspended between the known and the yet-to-be revealed. Then, as if answering the unspoken question lingering in the air, a soft voice broke through the silence. It was Lila, a soft-spoken elderly woman often overlooked by the rush of daily life. Her eyes shone with the wisdom of years, yet her words trembled like a delicate leaf in the wind. "I have never shared my story, but perhaps tonight is the time." The crowd hushed, leaning in with bated breath. Sarah felt a thrill in her heart. "Please, Lila," she encouraged gently, "we are eager to hear." Lila took a deep breath, her gnarled hands clasped tightly in front of her. "When I was a girl, I had dreams of painting the world in vibrant colors. But life, it seems, swept me away into darkness. My husband passed early, leaving me with a heart full of sorrow and a house full of silence." As she spoke, the flames from the chapel's lanterns danced and flickered, casting a warm glow across her face. "For many years I stopped creating. I thought my art was lost to grief. Until one day, amidst my loneliness, I found a brush and some old paints. I made a single stroke that reminded me of the light. I was reminded that beauty still existed." Her voice wove through the night air, inviting compassion, nostalgia, and inspiration. Through that canvas, I discovered that even in pain, there's light. It sparked a fire in me that I thought was long extinguished. Each painting became a prayer, a story of hope and healing. Tears glistened in Sarah's eyes. This moment felt like a divine tapestry of shared humanity unfolding before them. When Lila finished, Father Thomas stepped forward, his heart visibly moved. What a testament to resilience and faith. You see, dear friends, every story, every struggle, leads us closer to God's purpose. Through sharing, we breathe hope into our fellow hearts. Suddenly, a tremor of energy pulsed through the assembly. Sarah felt it, the divine invitation she had sensed earlier unfurling like petals in bloom. There was something profound awakening within each of them, a collective promise igniting a flicker of faith. Inspired, Sarah proposed, what if we embark on a journey together to seek deeper revelations? For 40 days, let us commit to sharing our stories, our prayers, and even our fears. As we open up, I believe light will break through and lead us to transformation. A ripple of murmurs flowed through the villagers. Hope and excitement mingled in the air, igniting their spirits. Jacob smiled, and even Margaret nodded with renewed vigor. Then a boy from the back, Thomas, spoke boldly. Will we find answers? Will we hear God's voice? Yes, Sarah replied, her voice steady with conviction. In our honest and sacred sharing, we will discover God's heart for us. We will witness miracles both small and great. Just wait and see. Father Thomas raised his hands, inviting them into a moment of prayer, a circle of united hearts dedicated to this journey. Let us lay bare our lives before the Lord. Let us be open, for together, we might walk into something truly miraculous. As they bowed their heads, a sense of purpose enveloped them all. In their vulnerability, they felt the beckoning of the divine, urging them toward transformation. As the prayer echoed into the night, Sarah gazed around at her friends. What awaited them was still a mystery, but one thing was certain. Their lives were on the verge of something astonishing. What divine revelations would emerge in these 40 days of shared stories? What miracles awaited their hearts? The air thickened with anticipation once more. As the sun rose to greet a new day in St. Mary's, it painted the sky in golden hues, an auspicious beginning to the journey Sarah and her community embarked upon. She awoke with a vibrant energy, her heart fluttering with hope. Fortified by the promise of transformation, today marked the first in their 40 days of shared stories and heartfelt prayers. Stepping outside, Sarah felt the warmth of the sun envelop her, as if the universe was smiling down upon her. The air thrummed with anticipation, each breath charged with the scent of possibility. She arrived at the chapel, her spirits soaring, eager to gather with her neighbors, each one bearing tales waiting to be unveiled. Father Thomas stood at the forefront, his presence radiating spiritual warmth. Today, let us open our hearts and share our stories freely, he encouraged. His words flowed like a gentle stream, inviting each villager to step forward. In doing so, we dive into the depths of compassion, uncovering deeper truths and understanding the divine presence woven through our lives. Sarah's heartbeat quickened. The villagers formed a circle of warmth, each one a thread in the tapestry of faith. Who wishes to begin? Father Thomas asked, his eyes bright with expectation. Old Mrs. Penny stood first, her voice filled with a tremor of emotion as she recounted the cherished memories of her late husband. Grief has walked beside me, she admitted, but it taught me the unparalleled value of love and the grace that still surrounds me. Each word became an ember, igniting the flames of shared understanding and connection as others leaned in, feeling every ounce of her pain and joy. With every story, each villager laid their burdens bare. Sarah listened intently, her own heart swelling as she grasped the beauty in their raw vulnerability. Jacob spoke of how fear once bound him, yet faith had delivered him from its grip. Lila shared tales of her artwork, showcasing how the colors brought life even in her darkest days. Each person's story reflected the sacred design of God, intertwined and intricately profound. As the day wore on, they joined in prayer, intertwining their voices in a symphony of hope. Sarah felt the divine presence envelop them, a palpable energy that whispered promises of healing. Each amen echoed like a drumbeat of faith, resonating through their souls. As dusk cast its golden glow, a surprising revelation washed over Sarah. Every shared story formed a mirror reflecting the divine journey each of them was on, illuminating their innermost struggles and triumphs. Tomorrow, Father Thomas declared, uplifting their spirits, we shall draw comfort from Scripture and shift our focus onto serving others in tangible ways. We will not only listen but act on the love that flows through us. Excitement fluttered in Sarah's chest. This was not merely an exercise in sharing. It was an awakening, a catalyst propelling the villagers into a mission of love. What awaited them in the unfolding of this sacred journey? In the days that followed, their shared mission took shape. They gathered each evening by candlelight, offering up their prayers, each flicker representing their hopes intertwined. They turned their healing into service, dedicating their efforts to care for those in need. Sarah found new purpose as she tended to not only her Jacob but to the sick, the lonely, and the weary, all united in the spirit of love. With every act of kindness, the village blossomed. Their hearts expanded with gratitude, and Sarah reveled in the miracles manifesting around her. Jacob grew stronger, and soon laughter echoed through their home, a joyful reminder of the resilience of faith. As the 40 days came to a close, the villagers gathered in the chapel, their hearts ablaze with the lessons learned and the bonds formed. Father Thomas addressed them, tear-filled joy rippling through his voice. You have opened your hearts, shared your stories, and allowed love to heal and transform. God has been glorified through your shared faith and compassion. Underneath the cathedral of stars, they all joined, hands a sacred circle bonded by love. Sarah smiled, her heart so full it felt ready to burst. They had journeyed through darkness together and emerged in radiant light. In that sacred moment, Sarah felt an unexplainable peace wash over her. Yes, their family faced trials, but their faith shone through. Pulsing with divine promise, they were connected to each other and to God. Transformation had taken root within them, and it felt everlasting. As they released their hands, a final prayer whispered into the night. It was a commitment, a promise to continue nurturing the love that flourished within them. Sarah knew they were forever changed. The spirit of service would remain in their hearts and echo throughout their community. This was not the end but a beautiful beginning, a journey toward deeper revelations and divine connections. As the celestial tapestry glittered above, she could sense Goddess' embrace, assuring her that faith would guide them through any trials that lay ahead, their shared journey leading to the ultimate miracle. Sarah whispered softly into the quiet night, "Thank you, Lord, for this beautiful family of faith. Let us continue to carry your light." Now, dear friends, this is your moment. If you've been touched by Sarah's journey and the transformation of her community, you need to subscribe immediately to the channel. Don't miss our next exclusive faith stories that inspire and uplift. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help spread these miraculous accounts. Your involvement makes a difference. Comment below with your reactions and testimonies about this powerful ending. We want to hear how faith has impacted your life. And don't wait even one more second. Share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this divine manifestation. True servants of God understand the importance of spreading His love. Let us do it together.